Hi and welcome back to the latest edition of Lisburn Distillery Television. With no football taking place at the moment and indeed no prospect of a return for the next period at least, today's episode has a somewhat different flavour to it than usual. In that we have no match highlights, however we have instead an extended online interview with recent signing Jack Clarke. Jack only joined the club back in January, but a combination of injuries and now the suspension of football has meant that he's only been able to wear the famous white shirt on a few occasions so far. Now, enough of the chatter, let's hear from the man with the truly magnificent moustache, the one and only Jack Clarke. Okay, it's a pleasure now to be joined by Jack Clarke here on LDTV. First of all, Jack, you're very welcome to speak to us here today.
Yes, and I am very happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem at all. Bit of a strange one this. You've only signed for the club there in January time, few games in and all of a sudden we're not playing the game. How frustrating has it been for you as an individual?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, I suppose, since I signed, and in a couple of ways, sort of came in and was thrown straight into the starting team away to Limavady, and actually, at the end of that game, I ended up hurting my hamstring, pulling my hamstring, and I had a pretty promising start. I'd been relatively happy with the performance that I put in. And then to get injured then off of the back of that was a shame, and it's just sort of one of those things that happened. And then it just so happened then over the next few weeks we had a couple of cancelled games due to weather, and then we had a couple of games where I was cup tied, so I sort of wouldn't have been able to play in those anyway. And then I think I only played maybe one game after that, and I wasn't 100% right. So I was at a stage where I was almost going to have to take another couple of weeks to sort of sort myself out anyway. And then obviously this whole thing happened. So, in a way, it's sort of been a blessing for me in terms of like allowing myself to sort of rehab the injury that I had and make sure that whenever I do come back that, I'm fully prepared. But it's just been a whirlwind, since I came in with the injury and then with the change of manager and then all of this with the actual season. It's been pretty crazy, yeah.
Johnny Clapham has come in as manager. Have you had much contact with Johnny since his appointment?
Yeah, loads. Listen, obviously, Stephen stepping down, sort of added to the craziness of the time for me, because he had been the guy who had sort of wanted to sign me, and he had like brought me in, and I didn't know really any of the players. I knew like a couple just from having played against them, and obviously Stephen had wanted to start me straight away, so he had a load of faith in me, and it was like great to go to a club where the manager had that much faith. And then obviously for him to then step down, it sort of it sort of complicated matters even more for me. So listen, from my point of view, it was really sad to see him go, but Johnny has come in, and he's really excited the players. You can tell that he has spent a long time working on his coaching skills and, focusing on what he wants a team to be about and the way he wants them to be ran and the way he wants them, to play football. And obviously he hasn't had a chance to express that yet. However, he has contacted us all individually. I spoke to him on the phone for, I think, close to an hour the first time that he rang, and I was just so interested with what he had to say, and he had loads of ideas, and he wanted to find out about the players and what sort of job we did and were we family people and where we had played before, what style of play that we like and stuff like that. So he's really made that effort to get to know the players, and then he hasn't tried to force his style of thinking on anybody, but he was just really open about the way that he wants the club to move forward, and the style of football that he wants to try to implement and the way that he wants his players to be. And he's been in contact pretty much weekly, which I think for the players has been really, really nice to have like a manager there who sort of wants to keep in touch, because quite a lot of the time, and I know that lots of players will have experienced this, where I suppose the manager just really isn't that involved outside of a Saturday. And I think that most players respond whenever the manager's have that interest in them and who they are as people, as well as what they can do on the pitch. So yeah, he has came in and he has the players really, really excited.
Okay. Understand he's given you a specific role to look after online training for the players, etc. at the moment. I mean, it's not like they're all sitting about and doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs. They're trying to keep active to the best of their ability. How did you get involved in that? What's your background to be able to do that?
Yeah, so obviously my role, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So my role is pretty much to prepare players for their sport. And I work within a couple of different roles. I have worked with Hockey Ireland, and I've worked within the IFA as well a couple of years ago throughout the youth systems. And then whenever I completed my master's degree in coaching science, I went out sort of on my own as a private sector coach. So I work with a couple of different sports, predominantly racing and rugby would be the two sports that I work, the heaviest in, and I would act as consultant to a couple of other clubs, GAA, football, stuff like that. So that's my full-time role, and I suppose word then managed to get out to a couple of the guys within the club who then had approached Johnny and had pretty much said, listen, it might be good to get the lads online doing a couple of coaching sessions when we have him here to take them. And he asked me, would I be interested in getting the lads together 2-3 times a week to go over some, specific fitness stuff on top of what the lads are already doing. And to be fair to the lads, most of them are still really, really active, but in terms of strength, it's very hard to do stuff at home whenever you're not able to get into the gym. And I would have the knowledge to be able to sort of serve them, to be able to get that side of things, the strength side of things and stuff like that they might not be sure how to do at home. I can do that. So I've been pretty much leading those. I can't decide whether I have made more friends or more enemies throughout the Zoom calls, but it's been nice for me as a new player who really didn't know anybody coming into the club to be able to to interact with the guys like that and get to know everybody, and I suppose everybody to get to know like a little bit about me.
For those people who haven't sort of seen a Zoom meeting, we're now going to have a quick look for about 10 or 15 seconds as to how the actual thing takes place. So let the viewers enjoy this and we'll come back in a little moment. Okay?
2, 1, let's go. Good.
Chronic in there.
Good lads, make sure good quality. Good quality lads, well done, good stuff. Last 5 seconds. 4.
So in terms of the players, Jack, I mean, obviously you've been in touch with most of them through the Zoom sessions and obviously as individuals. What's the general mood in the camp been sort of obviously over this period of time?
Frustration, I suppose, would be the main word to describe it. I suppose it's strange for us because we were already sort of starting to look towards next year. Obviously we were sort of sitting in and around mid-table, and even from having joined the club sort of halfway through the season, the goal for the lads was always to to sort of push on. And a club of this size with with the history that we have, obviously we're striving to get back to where we should be. And I suppose the mood within the camp, obviously off of the back of a couple of subpar results over the last, couple of weeks prior to the lockdown, was that we were really looking to aim towards next year, keep the nucleus of the squad all together because we know, the quality that we have. And we were really looking towards finishing the season strong so that we could kick on for next year. And I think, the lockdown has not only stopped the football happening for the rest of the season, but it's also left us in limbo because we were sort of just wanting to get these games not necessarily over with, but just to play them out and sort of try to finish the season on as much of a high as we could, and then really knuckle down and start pre-season, and building towards getting to where we know we should be for next year. So I think it's frustration that we're not able to play, and it's also frustration that we're still left in the middle of this season where we know we just want to get on to the next one. I can't decide who it would be more frustrating for, the ones who don't really have anything to play for, or the ones who are right up at the top and have those spots to play for. I suppose it's a different frustration altogether. But we were really just looking to right a couple of wrongs over the last couple of matches of the season, then look towards next year. And now with everything halted, we don't know whether we're in a position now where we're looking forward to next season already, or whether we still have a couple of games to finish once everything's over with. So I suppose it's frustration of the waiting, and it's frustration that we just want to get into a position where we can work towards getting the club to where we know that it should be.
Yeah, it's frustrating all around it. As you say, we don't know even ourselves whether or not this season will actually ever conclude. It may sort of be terminated. It might sort of be finished at a later date. At this stage, it's all up in limbo, and none of us knows where it's going to be, to be honest. And obviously, we're all thinking maybe towards next season really kick on, but we'll see how things develop, and we'll really take it from there. That really concludes our interviews. Before we do go, I'm just sitting here and admiring your moustache. Is this deliberately being grown as a lockdown thing? It's a nice twisted one, that one,
Well, listen, everybody else was shaving their head, right? But I have put years into growing my hair, and that was just not going to happen. So I thought I would go like a different route with it. It hasn't caught on yet, but I'm hoping, after this, I'm hoping that maybe we'll see a couple of other, supporters or players maybe trying to replicate it.
Time will tell. I'm not a Jordan. I tried that before, but it didn't work for me. Give it up as a bad job. Listen, Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on to speak to us here at the LDTV. And we look forward to seeing you and indeed the rest of the guys in the not too distant future. Thanks for joining.
No problem at all. Thank you.
So that concludes this week's episode. But before we do go, just a simple reminder that the club really could do with your financial support at this difficult time. Although some of the bills are currently on hold, others still need to be met. So any financial support you can offer would be appreciated. If you'd like to help out, 140th anniversary shares are still available for sale, with details on those currently available on the club website and social media. Alternatively, there's just an option to make a simple donation to the club available online through the homepage of the club website. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. We look forward to seeing you all again in the not too distant future, but in the meantime, stay home and stay safe. Bye for now.